Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Kill Your Hero. It's been a long time coming, but here we are to watch me get my ass beaten into the dirt by the DropOutDragon. Now, before we get started talking about him, I'm gonna have to say something. I hadn't played Dark Souls 2 for a very long time before I had the sessions of fight with him. Like, a very long time, like a couple of months. So, my style kind of got a lot less fancy, and good God, am I aware of it. Despite this, I had a really fun time with Dragon, as I always do, because it doesn't really matter how bad you are when you fight him, I find, because if you're in a Skype call with him, you are going to laugh, and you are not going to care if you win or lose, because it's just such a good time. And I guess I should explain, for those who don't know Dragon is a fairly well-known partnered streamer on Twitch with almost 11,000 followers, and probably one of my best friends in this community in general. Come to think of it, he's probably one of the best friends of the community in general, and I don't think I'm at all out of line saying so, because the devotion that he shows to this community, frankly, is astounding. Dragon founded a team of Twitch streamers called The Nexus, which has a whole bunch of great streamers in it, like, I'll try to name them off the top of my head, Bro with the Fro, Areas Hollow, Ro Parkour, Rufio, Mr. I Won't Forget, Steel369, Jen Denise, True Talent, Dark Project Mayhem, and Fightin' Cowboy. Just to name a few, really, there are a lot more. Strack Phoenix. Now, usually these Twitch teams, they stay very introverted and tend to only really support each other, I find. But a great thing about Dragon and the members of the Nexus is that they really do love to support the smaller members of the community. And I've seen people with less than 20 followers get raids from Dragon with hundreds of viewers, and let me tell you something, that all a person really needs to get off the ground sometimes is a boost from the right person, and for some people, Dragon has been that right person. And Dragon and his people are all about that, and without wanting to sound like I'm sucking their collective dicks, I will always respect the Nexus because of that. They are always willing to share the love, and I've seen intense raids, smaller streams getting a regular audience, which is just fucking great, and even a few charity streams as well to help other community members out, because the Nexus understands that the Souls community needs passionate, dedicated content providers with good attitudes above anything else. Because lately we've been out of stock. And I apologize for not talking too much about the fights going on at the moment, but I don't want to do these videos. I don't do these videos to narrate the fights themselves, usually. Now, Dragon has a YouTube and a Twitch, so please, if you've got any brain at all, go give him a sub and a follow right now. His videos are on YouTube, and they are unedited PvP with live commentary that tend to go for about 30 minutes to an hour each. But something you'll really realize about his videos is that they're essentially just like his streams. So if you want to see more and you can't wait for another video to go live, and which is, you know, what tends to happen because he only puts a video every month or so now, drop by his Twitch sometime, because I can guarantee that a stream with Dragon is just like watching one of his videos, except you can also talk to him. And also, if you do drop in and say hi, please do tell Dragon what your favorite anime is and why, because if there is one thing that I know about that man, it is that he loves spirited and in-depth discussion about that sort of thing. Now, I want to talk about Dragon's fighting style. Dragon likes to call himself a bit of an adaptive player or an adaptive reactive player, which means that he will watch how you fight and change his fighting style kind of accordingly to counter yours. Now, we all know the pains of fighting an extremely reactive player. There's types of people that will not swing their weapon until they think that you've made a mistake and they are guaranteed to get damage in. Dragon is not like that. He will bait, he will rush you, he will dodge, he will back off, he will R1 spam if you roll into him because the both of you know that it is not his fault that you were dumb enough to roll into a person with a straight sword. And I am one of those dumb people a lot. Now, this is what makes Dragon difficult to fight because he is not impressed and does not get intimidated by things that people usually do, like, you know, the people that spin around in circles and try to backstep everything or constantly weapon swap or do bullshit like that. Because before the extremely long break that I had from this game, I was kind of one of those people. So when I came back and I had to relearn how to handle myself in the game, I also had to learn how to fight Dragon effectively. Now, note that he beats my ass in a vast majority of these clips, but considering that I hadn't played in a long time and that I was also faced with a very strange opponent, I don't think I did too badly. And if you're wondering why Dragon not getting intimidated by people that spin around and do all the technical and fancy stuff is a big deal, think about it like this, maybe. Like, in general, the purpose of a fast, kind of spinny, backsteppy playstyle is to confuse and disorientate. This works extremely well on people that haven't played the game a lot and most people that you'll meet on the bridge and such, but when you're facing someone with as much time in the game as Dragon has, when you see someone obviously trying to be fancy, just stop moving. Stop moving and stare at them until they stop moving as well, because it is hilarious. So many people who rely on this playstyle, including me for a little while, get confused when their opponent doesn't panic and make mistakes. So, yeah, being fancy and spinny does not work against people who play like Dragon in general, unless you're just a fucking god. Of course, I think a couple of the times that I did win, I think it was because Dragon tried to do something silly or have fun. And we all know that fun is forbidden in the super fucking competitive and try-hard land that YouTube and Twitch Souls PvP is and always will be. He's a great player, fucking dumbass at times, and he will meme the fuck out of you and scream and yell in the Skype call just to distract you and make you laugh while you fight. And I had a great time with these fights, and I really do hope that a lot of you go check him out and the other members of the Nexus as well. Now, I've got some other things to talk about, so these fights will kind of just have to play in the background for a bit. I know that I've been away a while, and I'm not going to beat around the bush as to why. I've been bored of Souls, or rather I think I've been bored of not having anything to say about Souls. See, I kind of pride myself on formulating opinions based on a shifting meta and my own experiences and letting you know basically what I think. Not necessarily what is right, but what I think about everything. I don't know why you like to listen to it, but that's what I do. Now, the problem with Dark Souls 2 and the meta that it has inherited is that when there are no changes, patches, or major like driving forces in the community from streamers or uploaders, the concept of creating fresh, interesting content for the game stagnates, and it's inevitable. nobody wants to read like a 1,000-page book when you get the same story in 300 pages, you know? And at first I kind of thought that this couldn't be true. I thought that maybe I was just missing something. Or that, more horrifyingly, I might have finally been catching on to what all those Dark Souls 2 haters were crying about with regards to the game being bad or boring, and I wondered, I worried a lot about hating the game because I like Dark Souls 2. I've had a tremendous amount of fun with it, and a majority of my content has been focused around it, and it's been a majority of what's grown me over the past few months, and it's been a good time, and I would never say that it's a terrible game. It's a very good game compared to most of what comes out. And then I thought about why I was bored, and I realized that I play these games, yeah, so I can have fun, but also because I can make videos about them and share my opinion. Two of my hobbies, video making and game playing, feed off one another and kind of combine into this uploading sort of hobby of mine, and I wondered why I was coming up with very little to say about Dark Souls 2 compared to the first one, and then I hit upon it. Dark Souls 2 is the sequel to Dark Souls. This is an obvious statement, this is fact, but like it or not, a lot of what makes the multiplayer in Dark Souls 2 fun is what made it fun in Dark Souls 1. And because of this, I think so many of the things that other uploaders have already said about the state of the PvP in Dark Souls 1 simply transfers almost seamlessly over to Dark Souls 2. So whether it's like discussion on honor, or playing as an invader rather than a duelist, or weapons showcases, tactics, balancing issues, like I do, it all really feeds from exactly the same issues we had with Dark Souls, and there was a whole 3 years of content of Dark Souls out there on the internet already, all ready to see, archived for everybody to listen to, from people who have amazing vocabularies and have hit upon these great things that everyone has realized is like, holy shit, this guy is right. Apart from the new people to this community, there is very little of anything to talk about, except for the evolution of the game, like the new game as a whole. The only time any of us tend to be excited over Dark Souls 2 anymore is when there's a new patch right around the corner, because then something changes and we can all talk about the nice little butterfly effect that it has on the entire metagame. So I guess basically what I'm saying is that I've been struggling to come up with things to talk about. I've covered all of our promised DLC that's come out so far, so I hope you guys can understand why I feel like I don't have anything to say. But talking about patches and DLC, I suppose. I know this is really slow on the draw, but did anyone foresee Dark Souls 2 being ported to PS4 and Xbox One? Now don't lie, think back. Because when I thought about it myself, way before the game had even come out on the first place on all three consoles, all three platforms, and people were wondering if it would be out on next-gen consoles, I thought, no. They wouldn't bother. Bloodborne is going to come out pretty soon after Dark Souls 2, so why would they work with 2 entirely new platforms, divide the player base across 5 platforms instead of 3, and spend all of that time, money, developing and testing on newer hardware? They don't have the time. It didn't seem like they had the resources. They're a little company, but fuck me, I guess, because that's exactly what they're doing. I've said it before on stream and in calls with people, but why the fuck would you bring out a new version of the game we've already had for a year? Well, the answer's pretty simple, right? I mean, money. They know Souls fans will buy any updated version of the game if they put it up on the market, so it seems like a good return on their investment, right? but they're releasing it on the 2nd of April. And I'll say that again, the 2nd of April. 7 days after the release of Bloodborne. And I don't fucking get it, man. I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I still cannot come up with a solid answer for it. Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin comes out a week after Bloodborne. It's a cash grab with improved graphics, shuffled enemy placements like the dragon in Hyde's Tower of Flame, and more spiders, and I think a new NPC who might like give you a quest or something. And I think he's called the Scholar of the First Sin. So, along with that, they've promised 6-player multiplayer for the new platforms and PC, and there are a bunch of other changes that I'm going to talk about in a second as well. Just got a lot of things going through my mind at the moment. But, man, I have to think about it and wonder, is the percentage of non-PS4 Dark Souls 2 players really high enough to justify pumping out an update to keep them happy while all the other kids run off and play Bloodborne? Because, I mean, if they're advertising Scholar of the First Sin, they're certainly framing it as a Dark Souls 2 remix with balances, changes, and patches up the wazoo, but it's still the same game, and it's likely that a large percentage of the people that disliked Dark Souls 2 are still going to dislike it after this version comes out, even if it's only... You know, it's like the only new FromSoft game that they have access to. They're still going to hate it if they hated it before. Like, if they didn't like the animations or whatever, that's not going to change. The core of the game isn't going to change. I expected the remake to be announced for an earlier release, like Christmas or something, so that it could tide people over until they might be able to make the jump to Bloodborne. And a lot of people thought this, should they have a PS4, since, like, let's fucking face it, Bloodborne is Dark Souls Victorian Gothic Edition, basically using a pseudonym so that it doesn't get lumped in with all the others. It's the next logical step in the series for people that really love it. But instead, Bloodborne's going to come out and be the new hotness, and the updated version of Dark Souls 2 is going to fucking limp out of the gate a week later. It's going to be hungover and tired, and it's only going to be able to find warmth in the arms of Xbox One and PC exclusive players. That's just the honest truth. The release is going to suffer so badly for this awful timing. Really fucking badly. Everyone's already played Dark Souls 2, and a new NPC and a few patch notes aren't going to pull too many people back into the game until a month or two after Bloodborne has been out and the community has attempted to deliver its verdict. And I can guarantee you that a lot of people will be, oh, it was less than I was expecting, because it's not new anymore. The Souls formula isn't new. We're going to be disappointed with some things. But as much as I am complaining at the moment, it's not because I feel like I am somehow being personally targeted by Bloodborne or Dark Souls 2. I have a PS4 now, and I will be playing Bloodborne. It's likely that after I play Bloodborne, I'll load up the new Dark Souls 2 on PS4 and see what changes they've made to the full game. I might even do a blind run of the new game if it's that different. I'll talk about how the patches may or may not have affected the PvP scene, and I'll have a decent time with it, but that won't stop me from wanting to do nothing but play Bloodborne, because I have this obsessive personality, and I know a lot of people that are like this when it comes to these games. When I get a new one that I'm really excited for, I will only want to play that game. When I get Bloodborne, I am not going to be able to do anything except play that. I rarely want to switch games until I have learned everything that I can about the new one. It will be probably in a lull out of boredom when I'm sleepy and I can't play any more Bloodborne that I will play Dark Souls 2, the remix. So it's not really going to bother me so much. Like, I'm going to be able to play Bloodborne regardless. I feel like I need to criticize some of the decisions that From's making. I don't know, I hope both games are fantastic so that I have the luxury of swapping back and forth between the two instead of being depressed about no longer feeling motivated to play one anymore. I just hope that by the time I get back to playing Dark Souls 2 after the release of Bloodborne, because I'm going to be playing Dark Souls 2 up until the release, is that I hope that the PvP on the PS4 version hasn't dried up. I guess... I don't know. I guess I'm just hoping that FromSoft know what they're doing and that I'm going to look like a complete idiot. Maybe somehow this will all work out in a way that I simply haven't foreseen yet. But I don't think it's likely. Now, this wasn't meant to be a Bloodborne rage fest, especially since the game isn't even out yet, and it would be extremely fucking silly to put out a Bloodborne commentary at this point. There's not even any gameplay of my own that I could use, so I think it's probably best to start talking about Scholar of the First Sin. First on the list of promised additions to the remix is a new NPC who will expand the lore of the world and possibly, maybe even give us a quest to complete. No new items have been guaranteed, but they have said that item descriptions will be edited to more accurately reflect what they intended. So basically they might be retconning some of the things that some lore theories have made more viable. Whatever. I really couldn't give a shit about the lore of this game as much as I don't... Like, I didn't really care about the lore of the first game. I thought it was kind of cool, but it wasn't why I played the game. Whatever. It is what it is, that fucking tautology, but the cool stuff. 6-player multiplayer. Now, this is interesting because I either see 5-on-1 ganks, which is basically just like wasting a loading screen for the invader. I mean, granted it'll be a quicker loading screen on the PS4, hopefully, but I mean, some people might argue that it could be fun to spank a 5-man gank, but god damn, in terms of death or glory, death in that situation is bold-faced, underlined, italicized, and is like size fucking 72 in Word compared to glory. And I can't wait for the Call of Duty meme and air horn montages though, because that'll be fun. They're breaking down the barrier. This is great. This is so great. They're breaking down our very own fucking Berlin Wall between New Game and New Game Plus servers, which means that New Game players will be able to play with people in New Game Plus, and New Game Plus players will be able to play with people in New Game. This means that there'll be a much wider player pool available to both parties, and I'm guessing that this is partly a realization on their part that dividing them was a stupid idea in the first place, and also because they may worry about their dwindling player base, which I was talking about earlier, after what they may know to be a poorly timed release. Give everyone the best chance to connect to as many people as possible, and it won't seem like the world is getting deader by the second, I think. However, we have recently just received a list of patch notes for the Scholar of the First Sin update. So, excuse me if I look at them right now so that we can go over what's going to be changed. Okay, so allegedly, this is going to be the patch that From is releasing on February 5th. It was released on their blog. This is going to be out a couple of months before the actual PS4 and Xbox One versions, so PC and Xbox 360 and PS3 will be getting this update on February 5th. We're not getting the new DLC and stuff on February 5th. We are getting this patch on February 5th, I believe. They've added the new character, the Scholar of the First Sin. I guess maybe we'll be able to talk to them, but not do any of the specific quest-related stuff that he might bring to the table, I guess. They're updating the additional item descriptions, and we already knew that they would, but here's kind of where it gets interesting. Choosing to enter the Covenant of Champions will now allow enemies to continue to respawn after being defeated, like an X number of times until they stop despawning. This is fantastic. Not only does that mean, from a PvE challenge point of view, which, you know, that I take up, because I love PvE challenge runs and stuff, not so much in Dark Souls 2, but I think this kind of eliminates one of the factors as to why I didn't like them in Dark Souls 2 in the first place. Covenant of Champions SL1 runs will be much harder, but if you join this Covenant, perhaps more importantly, you can now farm enemies for as long as you want without worrying about them despawning. You will no longer be forced to use an ascetic, if I'm understanding this correctly, and this is huge for people who love making their builds legit, but hate having to increase their soul memory just to get ascetics and stuff via like the Giant Lord route, which gives you like 250,000 souls like every time, I think. I don't know, I'm a huge fan of this change. I really like it. Also, choosing to enter the Covenant of Champions will now cause enemies to inflict more damage to the player. That's interesting, seeing as the enemies already received a buff to their damage for being in the Covenant, so I'm guessing they're getting even more buffed? Don't know. This is also huge. Players will gain access to a new item, the Agape Ring. When players equip the Agape Ring, souls collected from kills during online play will be absorbed by the ring rather than the player. This also allows players to control their online matchmaking experience by limiting their total souls collected. Alright, let's talk about this. So, for a very long time, we have wanted a way to control our soul memory, so that we as 120, 130, 150, 170 level players don't have to fight the people who choose to level way beyond that, but have the same soul memory as us because we play the game a lot. Now, I thought perhaps that this method of controlling our soul memory was going to be, that they hinted at earlier, was going to be an NPC controlled like reset, a lot like the ability to respec completely in things betwixt. Like you just pay a certain amount of souls or like an item that's available in Scholar of the First Sin update to bring your soul memory down to a level that would scale based off your soul level and potential equipment at that point. So, SL 150 people would be able to, for example, reset to, I don't know, 3.5 million soul memory. So SL 200 would have to reset to 7 million soul memory, so on and so forth. It'd basically be like metacap for the PC version, which, if you didn't know, it would change your soul memory so that, in accordance with your soul level. So you could always match with people that were also using metacap, who were also your level. So, but instead, we've kind of been given a ring. Now, I like that From has acknowledged the fact that their soul memory system is bad for the longevity of the game's online lifespan, and that they've made a move to fix it. However, it feels like they could have done it better. We have to wear a ring if we want to control our soul memory now, so builds, if people choose to follow it, are essentially being limited to 3 slots instead of 4. Now, I don't know if it would be possible to, like, consistently be able to ring swap before you get the souls for killing someone, because I can't remember how long it really takes for you to get those souls, and I can't remember if the time you get before you just can't press buttons anymore after you've killed someone in someone else's world would actually allow for you to do the swap. And I mean, I'm sure some people might be able to do it, but I'm not sure really, you know what I mean? I mean, additionally, this kind of means that everyone who has a build with higher soul memory has to deal with that. Like, they can't reset, they can't bring their builds back down. So they have to start all over again, and I don't know, I hate to complain so much, but I feel like it could have been so much better. The only people that this ring really serves are the PS3 players, or potentially the players on the new platforms, because PS3 players do not have the ability to restore backup saves with lower soul memory and more cracked red eye orbs and stuff without the use of PlayStation Plus. But on PC or Xbox, I know if I have all my builds, you know, where I want them to be, I have all, you know, everything has the correct soul memory and has all the cracked red eye orbs that they need, then I can restore a backup and magically get all my cracked red eye orbs back, as well as lose all of those souls that I gained from invading or hosting somewhere, especially hosting. So it's a cool change, and it's nice that they've acknowledged it, but it feels like it could have been done better. Like usual, this is a trend with From lately, it seems like. Now, there's a bunch more stuff here, like they've increased the effect of the rusted coin. Ore stones now drop more often, which is good, I suppose. White phantoms remain in other players' worlds for longer periods of time, and apparently will no longer return to their world if time runs out during a boss battle. That's good, I guess, if you co-op. All good changes, I guess. The bonfire warp selection screen will now highlight the top 3 areas where players will have the best chance to connect with other players online. Additionally, they made it easier for players to match online in general. I don't know what that last part means, but what this means basically is that the extra populated areas, I think, will become flooded with activity, and all of the extra dead areas will become deader, because who wants to stay in a really dead area? I mean, it's a cool idea in theory, but I feel like it's going to kill off all the other areas, since anybody seeking PvP will always go to the really popular places, and invading in some of these lesser used places is hard enough as it is. Invading players can't use items which invite more enemies. So I'm guessing they can't use like alluring skulls, which is odd because I thought that their only good use as of late was to really like get enemies out of the way when you invade and they stand in the doorways. NPC conversation text now is displayed more prominently than online. Are they seriously noting an opacity change as a patch note? When they wouldn't tell us about the Monastery Scimitar's parry frames being adjusted a few patches in a row. But they're telling us that, oh, you'll be able to read the text more clearly now. Alright. Players may now choose to cancel out the effect of the human effigy burning effect at bonfires. Now, this is pretty cool, because before this patch comes out, and currently, you have to wait in order to do it. I think it's like a 2-hour in-game time for the effect to actually expire. And in addition to this, when a player is affected by the human effigy being burned, they can now put down their signs to be summoned. And that is huge. So if you're just looking for co-op, or if you're just looking to be summoned for red phantom fights, you know, in like fight clubs and stuff, you can burn an effigy so that you're never invaded while you wait. It's a really cool change, and I really like that. It's going to make fight clubs a lot less annoying when people try to invade, you know, and you just get invaded by other fight clubbers and stuff. This is a slightly controversial one, though. In order to prevent invasion after defeating an area boss, they made the human effigy effect function in this situation automatically. So basically, once you've beaten an area boss, you won't be invaded anymore. And I mean, of course, you can cancel this effect at any time, just from what I've said earlier, but this means that you won't be invading people who've beaten the boss and haven't cancelled the effigy effect. In essence, this allows people who don't want PvP to not have to participate, and allows people who do want PvP to participate whenever they want to. And I think I like this. I don't know. Some of the fun of invading, or a lot of the fun for me of invading, is catching someone by surprise, and that's why I don't really like invading on the honor bridge. I don't know, if they've beaten the boss, then you just won't be able to invade them anymore, like it used to be in Dark Souls 1. And, I don't know, I think I might need more time to think on this, on second thought. Apparently the imitation spell now affects normal enemies. Do they mean the chameleon spell? Because if enemies now don't notice you while you're in chameleon, oh god. This might be fun, or it might be a whole new level of PvE cheese for mages. We'll have to see about that. Load time shorten on PS3. Hallelujah. No longer shall it take me 28 seconds to load the arena versus 12 seconds on Xbox, or 2 seconds on PC. I just hope it doesn't mean it'll load like 2 seconds faster, so you only wait 25 seconds. That'd fucking suck. But there's a bunch more stuff here, like PvE changes. They like remove the blur effect from binoculars. It's probably good for fight clubs and stuff. Rouge Water now restores spells properly. I didn't know there was a bug with that. They adjusted the price of a few of the Ivory King armor from Molan. Alright. Lucatiel's sign has been fixed for some PvE bug on Iron Keep. Sorry, I'm just skimming here. Also, apparently you're able to use ascetics on the Undead Crypt bonfire, and I didn't know that you couldn't. Whatever. They've adjusted timing for Licia to become the player's enemy. I have no idea what this means. Also, if you're supposed to get items but your inventory is full, like after you beat a boss, they'll just drop onto the ground in front of you. And since items don't disappear and stuff when you exit and reload, in this game, they'll just stay there forever until you have room for them, I guess. That's cool. Also, you can now skip the end credits once you've seen it through once before. I'm assuming on any character. That's fucking great. For people that get New Game Plus, or get the Illusory Rings, or whatever. And there are also, last thing, there are also online play changes. They've adjusted rewards in online play. Killing Dark Phantoms, Arbiter Spirits, or Red Spirits summoned through red signs will give the host a human effigy if they win. Awesome! Hosts that kill invading Grey Spirits will now receive one of the following: Titanite Chunk, Titanite Slab, Twinkling Titanite, or Petrified Dragon Bone. Now, that is pretty fucking cool because, and it is definitely going to make the bell tower areas more active than before. Big fan of that because I really love doing those invasions and hosting there as well. So, like, it's not viable anymore because there's barely any activity there now. So, if you kill the host also in a Rat Covenant... Wait, sorry, I have to read this again. If you kill the host in a Rat Covenant area, like you get summoned to their world, you also get a smooth and silky stone in addition to the Faris Lockstone. Fucking yay. God. For the Blue Sentinels, killing Dark Phantoms helping a Way of Blue host will increase devotion to their covenant by 1. That's cool, I thought it already did that. As a Bellkeeper, killing a host when invading as a Grey Phantom will grant Chunks, Slabs, Twinkling Titanite, or Petrified Dragonbone. So basically, it's the same for both the host and invader there. Invading is actually worth something now, which is cool. For the Pilgrims of Dark, killing an invading spirit will give you a human effigy as well as a bonfire ascetic. Awesome, since it is really it is so easy to die in there. And when invading, Brotherhood of Blood members killing Blue Sentinels, protecting a host, will give you +2 devotion to your covenant. God damn it. Why the hell do we not rank up by invading and killing people normally like the blues do? This has always been a question, and I thought that when I saw this section of the patch notes that they were finally going to address it and make it fucking make sense. Apparently not. Fuck me, I guess. I guess what Naralma really loves out of her subjects is infighting at the arena, because never mind that getting invasions in the first place is already a problem as a host, now there is no incentive for them to go out and kill people except for the fun of it. People like their aura, they like being rewarded for that shit. This really makes me mad, and I like the arena as a constant stream of fights. I like being in the arena. I prefer to fight in the arena than invade. I just wish invading actually meant something other than marginally inconveniencing another player. Give us some sort of reward for it. I don't know. Alright, that's all the patch notes taken care of. Thank you for sticking with me if you have, because that was a long-ass list to read through. This is a long commentary. And I've missed practically all of the fights, but they were really fun. I was really bad. Dragon was really good. Pretty neat stuff, really. I guess, looking back on the Bloodborne stuff and everything, the only thing I really hate about this entire arrangement is that it's just so poorly timed. I'd love to have a lot of quality time with the new patch, and I mean, we're going to have a couple of months with a new patch, but there are new features, enemies, no whole remix thing, the new NPC. I'd just like to see how Dark Souls 2 evolved in a vacuum without Bloodborne in the mix, with the same community surrounding it, but unfortunately, the release of Bloodborne a week earlier is going to majorly fuck with the, as many people, it's majorly just going to fuck with it. Many people will be with the simple opinion that newer equals better. And on that, I kind of agree. Newer is not definitely better, but it is definitely fresher. I just hope that the game has longevity, because I honestly don't see the Dark Souls 2 remix garnering too much attention from people who own a PS4 and are into Souls. Simply said, I guess I'm more excited for Bloodborne than the Dark Souls 2 remix. It's simply the way I feel about it, and I mean, I'm looking forward to the Dark Souls 2 update and the re-release and everything, because it's Souls, it's new stuff, I want to play it, I will buy it, and I am one of those suckers that's like, hey, you're bringing something else out? Great, I'm going to buy it as well. I might not end up getting the remix on PC, because I heard that you have to pay full price for it, which sucks, and that's a whole new topic, but I don't know, I'm looking forward to it, more excited for Bloodborne. That's all I really have to say on these matters, so I guess please go check out Dragon and the Nexus. His links are going to be in the description below and probably in annotations, although every time I say that I always forget to put the annotations up, so thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.